thank you for taking out time sharing your analysis of what's transpiring in the Middle East. With that, viewers, we're shifting focus to Europe. There are certain key developments coming in as far as the Russia-Ukraine war is concerned. Russian forces have attacked Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city again. The attack was carried out using precision-guided bombs that damaged a hospital building and knocked out power to more than 30,000 residents in the region. Russia has targeted Ukrainian power facilities in recent months, and President Zelensky, in the meantime, is slated to travel to the United States of America later this week. He's seeking advanced air defense systems to thwart such attacks. Meanwhile, the mayor of Kharkiv has stated that 3 bombs damaged the hospital and hit power transmission lines. He's further informed that 4 people have been injured. However, there are no reports of any casualties yet. A patient at the hospital has narrated what exactly transpired. Listen in.
Я була в своїй палаті, лежала на ліжку, збиралась вже, думала, що скоро буду спати. І тут почало літати дуже гучно. А потім перший приліт десь далі, і другий дуже гучно було. Двері повилітали, в мене вікно відкрилось. Мені просто пощастило, що в мене на інший бік палата виходить. І тому я сіла тільки, дуже страшно, серце аж заболіло, так що дуже страшно. Не повністю всі палати були зайняті, але люди були. І багато хто постраждав від скла, тому що вікна повилітали і людям посікло, кому що. Я так дивлюся, була в бомбосховищі, там дуже багато людей, хто спорав.
With us on the broadcast is Mr. Glenn Grant, former advisor to the Ukrainian Defense Minister. Thank you so much for taking out time and speaking to us on NewsX World. At the outset, we're seeing Russia stepping up its attacks against Ukraine. It's targeted Kharkiv once again. We're seeing also scenes of devastation with a hospital now being hit with this. In the meantime, President Zelensky is visiting the United States of America very, very soon. He'll be meeting Donald Trump as well as energy and security firms and their leaders. There are, of course, there's a lot of buzz regarding the delivery of Tomahawk missiles. Zelensky will be outlining Ukraine's need for this. What are your expectations from this upcoming visit?
Limited, actually, because Trump keeps delaying handing over anything, and as you know, he's actually changed the program so that now European countries actually have to buy, or NATO, if you want to call it that, as a group, have to buy weapons from America and then give them to Ukraine, and this is ongoing at the moment, and I'm not at all convinced that there will be anything extra from Trump, although he's having a lot of problems with the Epstein files, and it may well be that he uses this for a big announcement to try and again distract the world from the problems of paedophilia that are crowding in on him at the moment. So it's entirely possible. Normal would be nothing, but it's entirely possible that we get a big announcement. But I'm going to add one rider to that, which is we've had big announcements before, but then actually nothing has happened.
All right. We're also seeing the EU Foreign Policy Chief, Kaja Kallas, recently state that the European Union has decided to allocate 10 million euros for the establishment of a special tribunal to investigate Russia's crime of aggression against Ukraine, as well as 6 million euros to assist Ukrainian children deported by Russia. What do you make of this particular move? Will it really help on the ground, or is it just optics on EU's part?
It's optics on the EU's part, because they actually promised this tribunal, I think at least 2 years ago, maybe even 3. And so nothing's happened, and there's been plenty of money around. Since it's not a money problem, this is an optics problem, because at the moment the EU is floundering to support Ukraine in any positive way. It talks a lot, but actually not much happens behind it. We're still a long way from EU defence, for example. So I think optics, but money is money, and if it does anything to help, it's useful. But I don't trust it as being useful personally.
And there's an interesting report that has come out right now regarding China and its tacit aid to Russia. We do know that Beijing claims that it is neutral in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. It has not sent any military hardware to help Moscow's ambitions. But it has now been increasing exports to Russia over the summer of key components needed to make fiber optic drones. In fact, we're learning that shipments of fiber optic cables to Russia have grown almost tenfold between July and August. It hit record highs. In fact, 328,000 miles worth of fiber optic cables have been shipped between China and Russia. In contrast, the supply to Ukraine is a mere 72 miles. That's not all. China is also supplying lithium-ion batteries to Russia. Its supply is standing at a record $54 million, and in contrast, Ukraine has received a mere $11 million worth of lithium-ion batteries. Now, these are components that are used to make fiber optic drones that we're now seeing Russia use increasingly in this conflict. These particular components are used both for civilian and military means, and this dual use purpose is what circumnavigates and bypasses the sanctions that have been put by the United States and by European countries as well. What do you make of China's tacit support to Russia through this means?
I think you have to, when you look at China, you have to be very careful because of the government is one thing, and the entrepreneurial energy of Chinese businessmen is a second thing. Those businessmen will sell anywhere that there is money unless the Chinese government actually stops them. And so there have been no sort of rules and regulations actually stopping this work, stopping the Chinese exporting of any strength. China's government is actually starting to put some export rules on, which may actually limit some of those things to Russia, from the amounts that are going in. Now, why is it larger in Russia and Ukraine? Well, Russia is government money, so the government is buying everything it can. But Ukraine is private money, it's personal money, because the government isn't doing this. So it's small businessmen who are buying things from China. So the actual amounts are going to be much, much less because this is just supporting a unit on the front line. So they're buying smaller quantities and they don't have as much free cash or oil, in Russia's case, to buy the things that they need.
All right, so with that, I would like to thank you for taking our time sharing your analysis of what's transpiring as far as the Russia-Ukraine war is concerned. Shifting focus to what's taking place in India, Google will